What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and this is my recap for Insecure Season 4, Episode 10, Low Key Lost. Now, this is the season finale of Season 4, Insecure, and there's been a lot going on with relationships and what's going on with Issa and Molly, and we're going to get into all of that. But before I do, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe bell and let's get into it. And if you enjoy this video, please hit that like so that other people get recommended. And let's see what happened now. It starts off with Issa, and she's at this like somewhat block party type thing. She meets up with Lawrence. They happy to see each other. He gives her the good news that he got the job in San Francisco, so they happy. Everything's going good, and he's telling her that hey, he gonna take the job. He got his own team and things. So where does that leave with us? And she's saying, well, hey, it ain't but a 45-minute flight. We can make this work. And actually, really, it's about time for me to change and find new friends. Hey, I might even go there and move there. And so he like, what? Really? And so he's a little shocked at first, but then he was happy, and they, kiss, celebrate. And so we see that later on the other side of town, Molly is with Jet Li, and they having a little dinner date, business date, and so they guessing who is Torian. So she's got him like guessing who certain people are at the office. He guessed right. They having a little somewhat of a little good time. This one guy asks them if they want to go to this next little after party set, and she's like yeah, and he's like no. And so she like okay, well, we'll see. And so he says okay, well, just let me know, we'll be over there or whatever the case. And so she's like, well, what's the matter, we can go here or whatever. He like, well, this is cool, but I really ain't trying to do this no more. And she's like, well, how about I have them play some of your artist music, and it'll be like, partly your thing too. And so reluctantly he kind of go ahead with it. So later we see Issa going to the barbershop, meet up with Nathan, and so they talk, and she's like, oh, you got your little storage closet like my job. And so we go to the other side, and it's a barbershop, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna do a few things here, make a few changes, but it got potential. And she's like, yeah, you doing good, I'm proud of you. He said, hey, look, I'm sorry about what I said about your ex. It's just when you told me that, it affected me differently, but I want us to be cool. So she like, okay. Meanwhile, we see Molly, and they come back home, and so Drew, he's like, look, I'm cool, I'm tired, but I'm about to catch up on this marathon of looking for LaToya. She like, but I'm tired, wait for me. He like, okay, well, I mean, of course, another thing on your schedule. And so she's like, what was that? He's like, nothing, never mind. She like, no, well, I mean, what's going on? Was there a problem? He said, look, I do everything on your schedule. I eat when you want, shower when you want, watch TV when you want, go where you want. She is like, I bend over backwards for you. She like, bend over backwards? When you bend over backwards for me? He's like, all the time. You never let nothing go. And she like, what, because of your brother? He's like, no, that's not the only thing. But she's like, I let everything go. I mean, what are you talking about? And at the meantime, she's steadily getting a phone ringing. So she trying to ignore it, but she finally picks up the phone, and then that's when she realized that there's drama going on with her friends, so she leaves. And so we see later that Derek is on the phone. He's trying to find out what's going on with Tiffany. Molly's there, Issa's there. They got a little uncomfortableness. This other lady's there, I guess her aunt or mother, talking about, I dreamed about fish. You know what that mean? Kelly's saying, no, don't nobody know what that mean, girl. And so Derek, he finds out that she was at the movies. Tiffany told him that she needed space and been gone since yesterday, missing. And so they all at the movies trying to see if they can find her or whatever, since the police said they had to wait 24 hours and nobody knows. So they decide to split up, and Kelly see this security guard. She like, I bet he knows some things. And so she go over there, and then Molly like, well, we should check the concession stands. And Issa says, yeah, that's a good idea. Which one? Molly say, well, why don't we split up and we go upstairs and you go downstairs. And Issa say, yeah, of course, that's a good idea. And so pretty much Molly is always splitting up or alienating or doing something without even realizing it. Meanwhile, Kelly is asking, this little dough shaker security guard. And so nobody ends up having any information out of everybody they ask. And so while they come back to regroup, Kelly notices that it's a bar right there. So she's like, oh, 2-for-1 margaritas. Last time we was here, it was that Wico de Mayo. I bet you she told her up. And so the bartender's telling them that she was drunk, and he told her to go ahead and get a lift, and she went on ahead and left. He saw her leave, and so now they trying to decide where she went and what was going on. And so they was like, well, last time at Hueco de Mayo, that's when Issa, because Molly wanted to go to Mexico and whatever, and she couldn't get away. So, we went to all these Mexican restaurants. So which one did she go to? Which one is close? So they trying to figure it out. And he's like, well, it was a Lyft receipt. Kelly like, why you ain't tell us that? You supposed to been tell us that. He like, it don't say an address, just the amount. She's like, okay, let's leave Derek alone. And Issa do Lyft. So she like, well, how much was it? He said $6. She like, oh, I know where that was. That's around the corner, such and such. So they go over there, and this big-eared satellite dish dude, he's sitting here, and he's like, I don't know, I don't really care about this job. So they talk him into looking into the security cameras. So they in the back looking at the security cameras, and we see that they all looking around, and they finally find her walking around. She like, there he is, enhance, like it was Minority Report. Man, they like, we don't enhance. And so we see Tiffany getting on the bus. So they like, man, what is she doing? What bus did she get on? And so they trying to figure out. They end up finding out when they end up leaving, they get on the bus. And so while riding the bus, they trying to do some more investigating. Tiffany trying to figure out where Kelly trying to figure out where Tiffany could have went. And while they all talking, Derek is sitting there depressed. And that's when Issa tried to tell him, he like, man, I knew she wasn't happy, but I never thought she would do something like this. And then Issa like, don't feel bad. You a good dad. You didn't gain sympathy weight. You trying. It's just sometimes, friends, they may make a mistake or whatever, and people need to get a second chance. So she kind of giving him a little story about what may be going on, but at the same time letting Molly hear it too, so that there's a double message. Meanwhile, this old googly-eyed weirdo is right next to Kelly on the bus. He like, real talk, my inner black woman is just like you. And she said, real talk, my outer black woman said, shut the fuck up, I'm on the phone. And so meanwhile, they pass a hotel. They like, that's the hotel, that's probably where she at. So they try to get off or whatever, and the bus driver like, I can't hear you till you get behind that yellow line. And so she's like, this old R.C. Davis Negro. And so he stepped back, and they like, why don't you stop? He said, I can only stop at designated stops. And then they said, well, this is a red light, just open the door. He say, I can't open the door. And she looking at the red button that opened the door, and he look at her, and he said, don't you touch my button. And she said, well, what you gonna do if I do? He said, don't touch that button. And Issa like, touch it. And Kelly crazy ass, she go touch the button. So she go ahead and push the button, open the door. She like, come on y'all, let's go. And so they get off the door, and he's like, I know you ain't touching my button. And so he go ahead, and just so happened to be a cop across the street, so he go out the window, tell the police. So as they walking down the street, here come the bus driver and googly eyed and his friend, and they like, yeah, that woman was harassing him. And she like, no, I wasn't, but I can harass him and you. And so they start arguing. The police is like, what's going on here, and this and that, and they trying to figure out what's going on. And Derek like, look, we looking for my wife, we ain't causing no trouble. And then he like, you crossing the line, boy. And so Kelly is snapping on him, everybody going back and forth, the cops getting upset. And Molly is like, I'm an attorney, why are you asking us? Because we're black. And then the googly eye ain't. So he like, look, everybody go on your separate ways, I don't got time for that. And then as they leave, googly eyed had to say something crazy or whatever. Meanwhile, they get into the hotel, and once they in the hotel, they find what room she in. Derek go there, knock on the door. He like, she answered the door. He like, baby, what's up? It's me. And so everybody's sitting there waiting to see what happened. And then, she slowly and reluctantly opens the door. And when she opened the door, he just kind of look at her, and he's like, what's wrong? And she said, I'm sorry, I just didn't know what else to do. And then they just kind of like hug and embrace. And even though that was kind of a sticky situation and what she did, the one good thing about it was it wasn't a lot of yelling and screaming or arguing or none of that. I mean, that was really a mature way that he handled it, and that they kind of got back, together on the same page. Meanwhile, you see a lot of murals that's been painted around the city for some of the fallen celebrities. Later, we see Molly finally back and she's with Drew, and so she's like, I'm sorry I left, but I do want to talk about this so we can get it over with before it blows up. And he's like, yeah, well, I just don't think maybe we a good fit. And so that's basically what she was saying to somebody. And so she's like, what, to Issa? And he's like, I just don't think it should be this hard. And she's saying, well, I mean, neither one of us have gotten this far with somebody else before. That means something. I mean, we can go to therapy. I want to make this work. And he's like, I mean, what are you really trying to fight for? What is this? What do you want out of this? And she really didn't have much to say. And I mean, who want to go through therapy and all that when you only been together a couple months? It's not worth it. Meanwhile, we see Issa meeting up with Lawrence. He's stopping by. She was cooking a little breakfast. And so while she cooking, he kind of got a little sad puppy dog face. So she's like, well, what's going on? What's wrong? And he said, I spoke to Condola and she's pregnant. And so she's like, what? And he said, yeah, she's pregnant. And I didn't know about this. So she's like, well, when did this happen? And he's like, well, I just found out. And then this cutting back and forth to him talking with Condola. And so he's like, so is she going to keep it? And then it cuts to when he's talking with Condola. And he's like, well, I thought we were safe. I mean, what's going on? And he's like, is you sure it's mine? And she kind of upset, but she said, yeah, I'm sure. And so Issa's like, well, I mean, I don't understand. So, I mean, are you going to get back together with her? I mean, what? And he said, no, I want to be with you. I just need to be honest and tell you what's going on. This happened before me and you, before I knew about the job. And so now he's sitting there talking with her, and he's like, I don't understand. Do you want to keep it? And she said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I wasn't ready before, but I'm ready now. But I mean, I'm not going to ask anything of you. You can get involved as much as you like. And he's like, but we ain't even together. This ain't even, the right thing. And she was being more mature about it. He was too. They were talking about it in a mature way. And so Issa's upset. She's sitting down. And so she's like, this is just too much. And then later you see she on the back porch by herself. She had to blow a little jizzle because she needed to chill out and cool down, man. And she needed to smoke one. And so we see later that night that she's going to her little favorite Ethiopian spot that her and Molly love. And lo and behold, once she get there, Molly is there. And Molly is saying, I'm glad you came. So this time Molly invited her to come and meet up. And so they sit down and she's like, I'm glad I came. And so right now they both are in a crisis situation now. And so now they're able to talk. But before, Molly wasn't willing to talk when she was doing her thing and felt that she was, okay. But the episode ends and it just shows them working on their relationship. Who knows how it turns out? Now it's time for real talk. I think this episode and this season in general actually covered some good topics, and it's be good for young people to look at it and maybe actually pay attention and try to avoid some of the situations that they became involved in, or if you are already in that situation, maybe react differently. I think that it was a good episode, but one thing that Molly, I think that character is that she's always used to being in control, and I think that she doesn't realize that maybe she is what they would call a control freak, because Drew had a point. Every single thing that she wanted to do, he did for her, but if it was anything that he needed from her, it had to be on her time or on her schedule, or she wasn't going to do it at all. Very, very not willing to compromise and very petty. So she was never going to talk to his brother again because they had a small disagreement over the towel girl while they were on vacation, and he never going to talk to him again. I mean, that's really petty. And like he said, you never let anything go, and they could go down the list. She still was unforgiving to her father, to Drew, brother, to Molly, to Issa, and the list can go on and on. And so it just seems that she doesn't realize that a relationship takes compromise, and that's something that a lot of people probably don't realize, and we all need to work on. And so that's one thing that was shown there. As far as them being friends again, I don't know, because she's only wanting to be Issa's friend now that she needs help. And if everything starts going good for her again, would she kick Issa to the curb again? I don't know. And another thing I want to point out that I was happy to see is that when Derek was having that issue with Tiffany, they weren't yelling and screaming and arguing and threatening and hitting and things like that, which you normally see in a lot of real life situations and in movies and TV. And it was good to see that they were able to handle that maturely and hopefully come to a positive resolution and stay together. It's unfortunate too many people break up, especially when kids are involved, and they break up sometimes too soon when maybe they could have worked around it. So hopefully that is the case. In the end, I like the show. I know a lot of people haven't heard of it or watched it, but this was a good season. It's only 30-minute episodes, easy to binge watch, and you got 4 seasons to binge watch, and you can actually see growth in the characters between each season. It's actually a pretty good show. It's a black woman that does it, comes up with it, Issa Rae. It's a black show, and I'll try to support it. But if it wasn't good, I wouldn't just support it because it was black. So you have to be good as well, and that goes for anybody or any color. With that being said, check it out. You can check out my reviews. I did a couple episodes before up until this season. And, I appreciate you all for watching. Everybody that leaves comments, everybody that sends donations. I appreciate each and every one of you all. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace, and I'm out.